Please find your seats, or let them find you. Welcome back to the final part, I guess, if you like, of Scotland's first AI Summit. You've made it thus far. Yes. And for those joining remotely, just to let you know, in case you missed it, but our special guest could make it today, and so we're kicking off now 5 minutes earlier. Well, actually, 1 minute earlier than planned. But please do remember to tweet, tag us, or like us at Scott AI Strategy using hashtag Scott AI Summit. And if you have any questions for our speakers coming up, please send them over via the online platform, because I will be asking them the questions. Next up, we're going to be joined remotely by someone who I think has got a very cool job title indeed. He is the head of the Centre for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics at the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute. Irakli Beridze has more than 20 years of experience in leading multilateral negotiations, developing stakeholder engagement programs with governments, UN agencies, international organizations, private industry and corporations, think tanks, civil society, foundations, academia, and other partners on an international level. He advises on numerous issues related to international security, scientific and technological developments, emerging technologies, innovation and disruptive potential of new technologies, particularly on the issue of crime prevention, criminal justice and security. Sadly, Irakli couldn't be here in person, but joining us live from Dubai, on our screens, hopefully imminently, is Irakli. Hello, Irakli.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm very happy to be with you virtually. Next time, I'm really hoping that I will be with you physically as well.
Great. Well, it's a pleasure having you. I'm going to pass you over to the audience now, Irakli. The virtual floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be with you virtually. I really regret that I could not make it to Edinburgh. I was really hoping that I would, but other circumstances prevented me. So I'm joining you virtually from Dubai. At the moment, there is a World Government Summit here where United Nations asked me to represent the organization. Today, I'll be speaking about artificial intelligence for the law enforcement and how to ensure that this technology is used in a human rights compliant manner and in a way that we will solve, on the one hand, problems, and on the other hand, we will ensure that this is done responsibly. So what I will do now is that I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully you will all see the slides. And if you don't see that at the moment, please do let me know. I'm assuming that you're seeing it. Now, I would like to start with an idea which I've been talking in recent years while I'm presenting or discussing the issue of artificial intelligence, that today we are more connected and smarter than ever before, actually, as a sort of a history of civilization, and have unique resources to better solve previously something wonderful. And I sort of want to start with this positive notion, although obviously there are a lot of things happening in the world currently which could challenge this idea, but I still want to stand by. And if anybody wants to challenge me with that, we can have the discussion later on. But at the same time, and plus we have an artificial intelligence which has been sort of exponentially growing its potential in recent years. And it's one of the most powerful technologies which we have developed, although some would argue that this could be a last technology we have developed, and there is a sort of risks of the existential nature also present there. Now, the AI is everywhere, and you've probably been talking about it all day long, so I will just make a little bit of a recap from my side, that artificial intelligence has been invested heavily in the private sector, and we have billions of dollars or euros or pounds markets now developed, or trillions, some people would say, within 5 to 10 years' time. The governments have been investing heavily in the artificial intelligence as well. And like you, while I'm congratulating you with the adoption of the AI national strategy, other governments already have also adopted it. And we have around 60 governments or so at the moment with the developed AI national strategies. Now, although it is very good, at the same time, I always would like to underline that we still have 2/3 of the world or so which don't have these strategies, and these are bringing a lot of questions about the widening digital gap, which could be an extremely dangerous phenomena. We can talk about this later as well. At the same time, United Nations has been paying a lot of attention to the artificial intelligence, and UN has developed numerous platforms like the Roadmap for Digital Cooperation of the Secretary General, like strategy on the use of technology of the United Nations, or the data strategy of the UN as well. Plus, we have UN Sustainable Development Goals, and the special forum at the UN, AI for SDGs, AI for Good Summit, where we are contributing or finding solutions to contribute how to better fulfill the UN Sustainable Development Goals, like the Agenda 2030. Now, Secretary General of the UN has been talking about AI since his actually arrival to the UN and calling this technology a game changer. And he finds, as all we agree, a lot of benefits to this technology, but at the same time underlines the dramatic problems which it can cause, and we will talk about those issues later on in the presentation. Now, today we are also facing unprecedented challenges, and sometimes with very high risks. This is a manipulated video of the President Zelensky. Maybe you've seen it in the news. It was shared widely, where in the manipulated video, he's saying that he's giving up fight for freedom for Ukraine. Obviously, this is extremely dangerous phenomena, and things like that type of videos or manipulation which is done through the use of AI technologies could be one of these dangerous occurrences which artificial intelligence can bring. Now, there are other major risks, and I'm just going to name few before we will focus on the AI-enhanced crime and law enforcement type of issues. But on the risk side, I identify the lethal autonomous weapons as one of the primary risks which we will be facing in foreseeable future. AI-enhanced technological unemployment, AI-enhanced crime, and of course, existential risk type of issues like superintelligence, if we ever get to that. UNICRI has been talking about artificial intelligence since one of the first agencies at the United Nations, starting from 2015, when we organized first meeting of the AI at the UN General Assembly. I had an honor to chair that meeting and moderate the first panel discussion. Since then, we came quite a long way, and we've been discussing artificial intelligence on various forums, focusing on the law enforcement, both from the risk and benefits side. Now, what can we learn about the risks and benefits of AI through the AI for law enforcement lenses? And let's look at where we are now on the data side. If you see this chart, by only 11, 12 years ago, at 2010, we had 1 zettabyte of data accumulated as human beings. Right now, we have around 45 zettabyte of data. And for you to understand what 45 zettabyte of data is, it's if you record every single word spoken by every single human being ever lived on this planet. And then in 2025, it is projected that we're going to have 175 zettabyte of data collected. This is as much as if you put them on the DVDs 27 times to the moon and back. So that's a lot of massive amount of data where no human being or the combination of human beings or any agency would be able to make sense of or properly interpret and decipher. Now, at the same time, what we have is the decrease of the police officers. Therefore, we will have a heavily dependence on tools like artificial intelligence to solve any kind of problems if you want to do it meaningfully in the future. So one of first sort of rhetoric questions I would like to pose is that how will law enforcement manage 175 zettabyte of data without support of artificial intelligence? And most likely the answer would be no. So how to ensure that we will do that in a right way? So AI can be a game changer, as the Secretary General says, for the law enforcement as well. And crime is evolving, of course, and increasingly becoming complex and challenging. And data is growing exponentially. Therefore, we do need these tools, and we need to make sure that this is done properly. So the future of law enforcement will involve artificial intelligence and related type of technologies, and whether we like it or not, we are going to live with this issue. Now, what are the main domains of artificial intelligence enforcement, and what are some of the AI use cases? We've been analyzing these issues for many years now, together with relevant organizations like Interpol, Europol. With Interpol, we have a specialized AI for law enforcement platform, which exists starting from 2017, already almost 5 years. And we looked at the domains like audio processing or natural language processing, visual processing, or resource optimization, one of the 4 dominant areas here. And the use cases, we have numerous use cases, but one of the prominent ones is, of course, facial recognition technology, extremely controversial. And I'll be talking about this. We have a specialized project run together with World Economic Forum, Interpol, and now we are testing it, how to do this within the responsible limits, within the human rights compliant manner. There are counter-terrorism financing, which is sort of countered through the use of artificial intelligence. Or one of my favorite ones is a non-intrusive surveillance, actually piloted and championed by the Oslo police in Norway, using artificial intelligence to anonymize the data, which is being analyzed through the police links here as well. So now look at the use of AI in law enforcement can also have enormous pitfalls. And if, of course, it's not used properly, it can pose serious risks to individuals and societies. And we've been probably talking on numerous type of risks earlier today. So it might impact human rights, such as the privacy or non-discrimination, and it may erode fundamental principles of law. And of course, one of the top one would be it can actually undermine the public trust in law enforcement, which could be using this technology. That's why we need to get it really right. And this is a correct reminder or timely reminder by UN High Commissioner for Human Rights that the power of artificial intelligence to serve people is undeniable, but so is AI's ability to feed human rights violations at an enormous scale with virtually no visibility. So action must be taken, and we are one of the agencies within the UN which is taking action in this regard. So some of the human rights concerns or usages of AI in law enforcement are right to privacy, and we're referring here to the mass surveillance type of situations, non-discrimination, gender, racial biases in face recognition, which is very visible, and we've seen numerous horrible occurrences of that, presumption of innocence when predictive policing or recidives are assigned, although right now predictive policing, which has been piloted in recent years, have lost its sort of attraction, and it's not being used in many places, although some places are still using and we certainly discourage all those practices. So therefore, we do need responsible AI in policing, and this is something needs to be done on an urgent level. So what does responsible AI means? And I'm not going to sort of go into the definitions of responsible AI, although from our understanding, it is the developing, procuring, and deploying artificial intelligence in a human rights compliant and ethical manner. Now, how we are going to get there, and what is that United Nations, with support of UNICRI and our Center for AI and Robotics, is doing together with Interpol and its Complex Innovation Center in Singapore. We are developing a toolkit for responsible AI innovation in law enforcement. It's a guidance or guidebook tailored to the specific use of artificial intelligence in the law enforcement that is accepted and adopted by the law enforcement community globally. So this would be a specialized guidebook how to ensure that this technology is used in a human rights compliant manner in a responsible fashion. So the entire process actually of the toolkit development has started a number of years ago when we developed AI for law enforcement platform First, it was to share experiences, how law enforcement is using artificial intelligence and how to do it in a responsible manner. Later on, we have partnered together with European Union through European Commission funding as well. And right now, the toolkit which we are developing is in the first year of development. And by end of the year, we're going to have a specialized event where we're going to unveil it. It's a very inclusive process where we are bringing numerous stakeholders to participate in this process and organizing many different type of events, including the public consultations, to ensure that everybody's voice is heard. So what is it that we're going to expect in the future on the law enforcement and artificial intelligence? The future of the law enforcement will involve AI, and law enforcement agencies will mature to use artificial intelligence in resource optimization, audio, visual, and natural language processing in next to 3 to 5 to 10 years. And there will be heavy dependence on the use of AI in the law enforcement. As I said it, most likely most of the countries will be using in one way or the other these technologies. So, but at the same time, AI pitfalls need to be addressed, and individuals and societies protected to ensure trust in AI in law enforcement. And that's why we are developing those processes which we put in place through the process with the European Commission and Interpol and other type of projects which we are championing. And the main goal is that we will continue to work building a world where crimes are better prevented, investigated and prosecuted with the help of artificial intelligence, but in a way that fully respects human rights and rule of law principles. Therefore, please join this process, and we'll be very happy to hear your views as well. And if you're interested, we would be very happy to involve you in the consultation processes throughout different stakeholders which we have in place right now. With this, I thank you very much, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I'd be happy to discuss questions and listen your inputs and feedback for my presentation. Thanks a lot.
Irakli Beridze, everybody. Thank you so much, Irakli. Whilst you were giving that lovely keynote, we had a few questions come in here. Please keep them coming if you haven't submitted already. So the first question that's come in, Irakli, I don't know if you can hear me okay, hope you can.
I can hear you very well.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. So the first question is, do you think AI is asymmetrical with respect to crime, affording more opportunities to criminals than to the public good?
It is very difficult to measure the sort of proportion of the AI towards crime or public good. One thing I can say is that right now, a lot of law enforcement agencies are using artificial intelligence to solve crime-related problems. And there are a lot more use cases of law enforcement using artificial intelligence to solve problems rather than criminals using AI. We do monitor that situation as well, and we've produced numerous reports, and one of the last one was together with Europol, and it is available on our website, where we are analyzing potential of AI for criminals, but current and real use cases of artificial intelligence being used by criminals is way less than AI being used to solve crime-related problems. Right now, today, I actually participated in one of the panel discussions here at the World Government Summit, where we discussed the potential of artificial intelligence being used to combat sexual exploitation and abuse of children online. And we actually have built a specialized UN platform for this regard. And if you see the use cases, how AI supports law enforcement to solve this hideous problem, like the exploitation and abuse of children online, you would see how powerful this technology actually is to support these enormous backlogs which exist in that particular crime area.
And another question here, which a lot of people have favorited and liked and upvoted, is in the upcoming toolkit, What are some of the guidance in mitigating racial and gender bias in AI?
Right, it's a fantastic question. Toolkit is in development, and we started the process, as I said, some time ago. Right now, Toolkit is going through the consultation sessions. We have every 2 months the core group meetings with the multi-stakeholder participation. We have public consultations and other type of stakeholder consultations. Absolutely due regard will be paid to the any kind of discrimination, whether it's racial, whether it's gender, whether it's other type of issues, and therefore this will be addressed very thoroughly. As I said, I'll welcome particularities of any type of suggestions and even the interest to participate or host some of the consultations in Scotland or in other areas where you might be interested.
Thank you, Irakli. And another question for you is, much AI technology is controlled by global oligopolies. Do you feel that AI supports those organizations in avoiding national law and regulation?
Well, in principle, AI can support anything and anyone to do good and bad, and therefore I would not be surprised, or I would not be ruling out that it could support any organization to avoid anything. In principle, that's why from our side, on the law enforcement side, we are putting a governance structures. There are other type of governance initiatives happening as well, including a first resolution of the United Nations, which is being discussed at the moment, although creating a global governance type of charter is very difficult, especially in an area where we are going to have exponential growth of the technology, and regulations may not be sort of catching up to this. As you all know, European Commission has discussed a special Artificial Intelligence Act, which is going to translate into a specialized law there as well. Therefore, there are many type of initiatives happening at the moment while technology is growing exponentially. One thing what we should not forget is that on the mainstream, this technology has been sort of entering the mainstream just recently, only for a few years. Therefore, we are all trying to catch up with that and sometimes try to be ahead of the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that your point about it just entering the mainstream is quite interesting, because I think, in the work that I do, often we see kind of governments not necessarily keeping up to date when it comes to real innovation, real brand new discoveries in AI. And I wonder, do you think that that people, I guess, that work in the world of AI may be in a good position to kind of exploit, or in a way curb or get ahead of regulation? What do you think about that? That's one for me, by the way. No one asked that question.
Sure, no problem. I mean, look, what I said it in my presentation as well, and the slide about the national strategies, it's a very good sort of demonstration where we are right now in the world. If you see most of the AI strategies by governments, and therefore the strategies, what it means is that they identify the priority areas where government is going, industry, academia, or others, to actually get ahead of the game, have been adopted only starting from 2017, 2018. Scotland just adopted it, and then there are around 120 or 130 countries who don't even have any type of strategies or any kind of real understanding or an input in this. Rather, therefore, we are in a sort of a new type of situation where governments are now trying to understand what are the priorities, how to deal with this technology, and on the global level, as I said previously, we don't have any kind of real global charters on that as well. So we are developing all of this as we go.
Thank you so much, Irakli. Another question which has been very well received is, facial recognition technology has notoriously been used, particularly in the UK, without appropriate regulation. What is being done to think about ensuring that regulation is able to keep up with the fast pace of technological development in this space?
Look, on the facial recognition side, what I would point to you is that together with World Economic Forum and Interpol, we have adopted a white paper earlier this year, and this is also available on our website. And the white paper basically underlines the responsible limits of use of the face recognition. Right now, we are actually sort of testing that approach to particular particular governments and law enforcement. First pilot was done in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands police has tested that policy framework, how to use this in the human rights compliant manner. And at the moment, we have 5 or 6 other law enforcement agencies doing so. And later, but before the summer, we're going to actually showcase these pilot countries and see how they've perceived it. We're going to keep improving this policy framework where we can advise and implement it in other governments. We do believe that facial recognition can still or should be used in a human rights compliant manner, and we believe that it is possible, and we believe that if it's done responsibly, it can support law enforcement in solving problems, but without causing any type of harm, which has been sort of underlined here.
Thank you so much, Irakli. And our next question says, what consultation channels are available to the public at the moment?
So on the consultation channels related to the development of the governance on the irresponsible use of AI, we are actually doing through that process. So we are speaking with different stakeholders. We are identifying different focus groups where we are sort of collecting inputs and information. And as I said, we would be happy to do something in Scotland as well if there will be a relevant agency who would want to team up with us and host some of these sessions. Other than that, through the governmental structures, of course, we are consulting with private sector, we are consulting with academia, with civil society, and the law enforcement alike. Therefore, all these voices, we're trying to implement it in the development of these governance frameworks. And I do personally believe, and also institutionally, that inclusive process is the only way to develop any type of policy which is going to affect the public. And then ensuring the public trust is one of the top priorities. We already held some of the sessions even prior COVID, and first one was done actually in Estonia, in Tallinn, when we worked with the government of Estonia to do a public sessions on building public trust on the use of artificial intelligence for the law enforcement, and we received enormous feedback in that, which helps us to improve the processes.
Thank you so much, Irakli. It's interesting you should mention, a lot, public trust. And one of my questions is, how does UNICRI, which I'm not sure if it's pronounced UNICRI or not, but how does UNICRI tackle issues around human rights when looking to build crime-fighting AI?
Right. As I said, human rights is the top priority for the United Nations in general, and obviously for the UNICRI and anything which is related to us. So one of the main priority is that whatever guidelines, guidebooks we we create on the artificial intelligence, AI should always be used in a human rights compliant manner and without eroding human rights, without furthering discrimination, and without doing any of that which would be contrary to the UN the UN Charter and fundamental principles of human rights. Therefore, any type of work we conduct, one of the first consultations we hold is on the human rights side. We are actually linked up with the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, specialized agencies on human rights, and NGOs who are championing these ideas. Therefore, we are having extremely, as I said, inclusive process on this regard.
Thank you so much, Irakli. So you said in your keynote there that 60 government AI strategies are underway and that still 2/3 of the world haven't got any. How can we ensure that it's ethical AI or fair without more countries being involved or having strategies?
Look, it's a good question. And to me, one of the actually even sort of a more dangerous part is how we ensure that we will decrease the widening global digital gap, which has been happening already over the years. If the countries and who are investing in artificial intelligence will keep doing it, and they should be doing it. Obviously, this is a powerful technology which they should sort of harness the fruits out of it, or the benefits of it. And then you have many countries, or actually majority of the countries who are not doing that. What sort of world we are going to be living in 5 to 10 to 15, 20 years, where this digital gap, this enormous space will grow, and we will have very selected few who would enjoy the benefits of it, will develop, and will actually develop in their education, in the in economies, in security, and many other things, and others may fall behind, which could actually put us in a very dangerous sort of phenomena, very dangerous world where there could be sort of unresolved or where in a world where we cannot actually go back and undo that. What we should be doing, and from the UN side, myself, many others, including Secretary General, of course, are talking about this issue. We are trying to involve as many countries as possible in our programs. We're trying to bring the knowledge and understanding to as wider world as possible. And I think that every one of us should be doing that so that the benefits of technologies, including artificial intelligence, is widely used and enjoyed by everyone equally rather than only for selected few.
Thank you so much, Irakli. I've got so many more questions for you, but unfortunately I think we've run out of time now. But thank you so much for your keynote, and thanks for all those questions. And I'll let you get back to the sunshine in Dubai.
It's already evening in Dubai, but I will enjoy sunshine tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. And once again, my apologies that I could not make it to Edinburgh. I'll definitely do so next time.
Great. Thanks. Cheerio. Bye. Irakli Beridze. So many different questions I was going to ask him about robotics. How does he use robots? Anyway, to know.